Good morning, guys. Well, my name is Siya Beyile. It's really such an incredible honor that I'm in front of you guys today. What is important before we begin, I want you guys to forget about everything else, right? I know there's a competition, there's a lot of emotions, there's a lot of excitement, there's a whole crew here. I know that stuff is like, a lot is happening, but I'm here to talk to you as human beings. So don't look at me and think, oh, I know it all, I'm some expert. I'm literally a 25-year-old black man from Cape Town, the Eastern Cape, and I've been on an incredible journey that I just want to share with you. And I just want you to also, as I speak, think about some of the stuff that I'm saying. What can you relate to? What is true for you? What isn't true for you? So how I want to actually start the session, just to make us relax, and I'm going to tell you one thing that people do not know about me, and secondly, I'm going to tell you what my biggest fear is, right? And then after, we're going to go around the room, you're going to introduce yourself, how old you are, what's your biggest fear, and what is the one thing that no one knows about you, right? So the one thing that people don't know about me, which is crazy, is that I can't sleep without putting cologne on. I have this weird obsession that in my dreams I'm going to smell like crap. So that's one thing that people don't know about me. And my biggest fear is not helping enough people. That is such a fear. Like, we live in a world that tells us, okay, we need to get money, we need to look after our families, get all this status, but what happens beyond that, right? So that's my biggest fear, not helping enough people. Buyelwa?
I'm Buyelwa Kundu. One thing people don't know about me is that I cannot go to bed without socks on. I hate feet. And then my biggest fear is that I'll never live up to my full potential. Sometimes I feel very inadequate in places. So my fear is that I'm not going to be good enough.
Okay, my name is Porschia Pedro. I am 23 years old. Something people don't know about me is that I sing when I'm nervous. And my biggest fear is basically disappointing myself, which is probably a young thing, or I don't even know, but yeah, biggest fear would be that.
Hi, I'm Chace, I'm 27. I would say one thing people don't know about me is I can't sleep with my feet being covered, so I always have to kick the duvets off so my feet show. And then if I had to think about my biggest fear, I think it's not achieving what I want to achieve in the time frames that I want to achieve them. That feeling of being content, like, will I ever reach that pinnacle?
My name is Sharadel, and I would say the one thing that people don't know about me is that when I touch, like before I touch any book, I have to wash my hands. It's just like it's a weird thing that I do. And I would say the one thing that I'm afraid of is that I would probably end up alone. And yeah, I think I've come to terms with that in my mind. I've rationalized it.
My name is Mpho, and one thing people do not know about me is that I'm extremely soft. People don't know that about me because I come across as rigid and strict, but actually I'm such a softie. And one thing I fear would be not living my potential, not giving everything that I have, or rather what I think I have inside of me, if there's such a thing after all. Maybe I'm great now, I don't know. Cool.
Hi guys, I'm Cebo. I'm 20 years old. I think my biggest fear is peaking too soon. I mean, I feel like being at the age of 20 and already there's so much that I'm doing. So not just stopping here, but constantly pushing boundaries. One thing people don't know about me, I can't stop biting my nails at my big age. I can't, yeah.
Thank you so much, guys, for sharing. I think what I actually like about all these fears you have shared is that, you know, today we're going to become intimate with those fears. So I was born in the Eastern Cape, in a place called Eduja. And one thing I remember growing up, especially my early days in the Eastern Cape, is just how happy I was. One of the key things that have happened in my life is also coming from a very rural traditional family. And, you know, watching my mom, who has 22 siblings, be the person that actually builds wealth in her family. So a lot of my childhood has been spent watching that progression of her trying to navigate wealth, her trying to navigate black tax, navigating a divorce with my dad, all these things. And it put me in all these different paradoxical spaces. You know, going straight from the Eastern Cape to being in a white school in Constantia, not knowing how to speak English, you know. And then my parents finally divorced completely, or my dad moved out when we were 13. And that was before I went to high school. That's when I could say my depression actually started, because I had to live this double life, right? Where I would go to school, I'm perfectly fine, but at home, my mom's trying to commit suicide. You know, my dad's beating up my mom. I'm being beaten up, ending up in hospital. Then I enrolled at Wynberg Boys High School. When I stepped into Wynberg, I remember feeling very out of place. You go from, not having anything, and you're in a space where everyone has everything. Also, I was afraid of women, because the only thing I had seen being done to women was, my dad beating up my mom. I didn't know what it looked like to love a woman. I didn't know what it looked like to love anybody, actually, because I grew up in a family that never had that foundation. So in school, I was also very lonely because I didn't know how to build relationships. In high school, my mom used to call me umfana utungiweyo, right? And in English, it's the threaded man. And she kept calling me this because she just enjoyed how I look in this uniform. So each time I'd go to school, she'd be like, yo, Danam, so it became this thing that they used to play with, and then because now my English is getting better, I'm like, threaded man, right?
Translate.
So everyone was always just saying how cool I look. So because I've been watching fashion TV, I would look at Karl Lagerfeld styling people. So it became sort of this passion of mine. Even on CV's day, it was like, okay, how do I, So it became this space that I could escape to. So there becomes this thing now where I get branded as this new black African entrepreneur who's owning the narrative. With Threaded Man, not only did the brand grow, but I also grew as a brand as Siya Beyile as well, right? And my partners saw that, but I didn't see that necessarily. So during this time, basically you can think of, I had 2 brands that I was actually running, because I was doing campaigns as Siya Beyile, as an influencer, but at the same time, the brand is also making money through our consultancy, styling, content, all these different things. And all those paychecks were going into the business, which then the partners were using that to pay whatever it is that I owed, but also then that's how I couldn't get a good salary. So I was getting 3.5, and now it's like you're being told that actually, dude, you're in a crap situation. So I have a panic attack around how do you fight for ownership in that instance? So now having these partners who are millionaires, powerful people running this almost $1 billion group company, how do you approach them and tell them that actually you're unhappy with this contract? Like, I don't know what I signed. Do I own this thing? If I want to break away from these partners, what happens? How do you know they've invested 10 million, they're expecting you to pay it back? There's nothing about, and then also he's like, that's also a loan. They've written it there as a loan. So they didn't buy shit. So I basically gave my company over for free, and then they lent me money that I'm supposed to pay back, and then in exchange, they got the company basically for free. So think about it. I don't have a degree. I don't know anything else except for this industry, and this is my baby. And then in the contract, it wasn't just the company that I'd signed over, but I also had signed Siya Beyile, the name and the brand. They could take my name and start a clothing brand. I could never earn any profits. So the company at this time is making millions of money. While that is happening, this comes out, right? I'm on Forbes 30 under 30. So now things are still just rising at a fast level, like a roller coaster. I end up being announced straight after the South African Music Awards. I win, GQ Best Dressed Men of the Year. While that is happening, I'm not relating at all to this. I'm thinking I'm a fraud. I start getting depressed, insecure. So when they put me on Forbes saying billionaires of tomorrow, I'm like, actually, I could be, but I don't own anything. But only to realize I'm actually working for myself on my dream, but that dream doesn't belong to me. I've sold it, right? So I decide then to bravely, approach these guys and tell them that actually something's got to change. So I step into this meeting and I'm like, guys, I want to top the shareholders agreement. They're like, do not even start. If you decide this doesn't work for you, you can leave. We've given you resources, we've given you money. Now you're seeing yourself, you're famous, you're on Forbes. We created you because we own all the IP, we own everything. We know the work you've done. We've watched it, we have access to all your emails and your clients. So essentially, if you decide to leave, you're leaving as your own. We're not giving you anything. So I leave that meeting feeling so low, like I ain't nothing. I knew that this journey was over. So as much as this contract was screwed up, I can't deny that these guys played such a critical part in teaching me about business, in teaching me about running a team, in teaching me about how to run finances, in teaching me how to do HR, how to hire a team. And they also are the first people who gave me that confidence to say, I could be what I've envisioned to be. I could be the next Karl Lagerfeld. I could be all those things. I'm inspiring all these young black kids from the Eastern Cape who are like, yo, man, you've shown us that we can build things. I got to a place where I'm like, I really need to take this bull by the horns and actually do it. And I need to step out of this comfort zone that these people have given me and also go through these struggles of this contract. So what ends up happening is I end up resigning from Thread Man. And in resigning, I forfeited my shares. So in 2016, there's like a period of 6 months where the Threaded Man, my company, was making money, doing things. People still think I was in front of it, but I wasn't. And eventually what started happening is, because now I had built my own Siya Beyile brand, I started doing gigs. As I told you, I had non-compete. What does the group company do? They email all my clients, guys, which was so embarrassing. They're like, Siya is a fraud. He's left the company. You must not be associated with him because we're going to pursue legal action. Imagine all your clients, Aboteria, they're like, oh. And you know what companies are going to do, right? They were like, dog, we love you. This is unfortunate, but as a business, we want scandals. And I'm thinking, I'm a young black entrepreneur. I'm open about what I'm going through. I thought these people would help me. I thought these people would give me advice. No, everybody alienated me. Then I end up being in a situation now where I'm going to court because now I'm being sued. And eventually it gets to a point where the judge decides that, the guys have to sell the company to me because I am the rightful owner and I didn't have legal representation. But the judge can't deny the fact that these guys did spend money in building this brand, and it's only fair that they put up an offer and I must purchase. So we get into a place where we mediate. They agree they're going to sell the company to me. Cool. They bring in Ernst & Young to come and do the valuation of the company. And surprisingly, it was valued at 10 million. And how they did that valuation is because now it's also a digital business, right? So digital business, that's also what's tricky, especially in South Africa, is that it's not a table, it's not an asset, it's not something you can touch. It's basically data online. So they had to go through my followers. They had to, find out things like, if there's a conversation about fashion, how much does my brand appear? How much does Siya Beyile, the brand, appears? Is there positivity around my brand? How much ownership do we have around the conversation in the country about this? How many subscribers do we have compared to other websites? What are the hits, engagements? Then look at me as Siya Beyile. What skills do I have? Our equipment that we have. So we had clothes worth millions, so they had to do valuation of those clothes because they come as part of the assets. That company was valued at 10 million. And I was earning 3,500. Where am I going to get 10 million? Eventually, I hear that, a certain bank has a division whereby they basically help young black entrepreneurs acquire businesses or start their own businesses, right? So I'm thinking, I've been saved. They're going to buy my business. I'm going to get everything back. Here we go, So I'm thinking, when I buy this business, I'm getting everything most I had built. But think about it, I didn't own the office space I was in. I didn't own the team that was there. So all I got was an empty bank account and a website.
Yeah.
Sure. I had to start over from scratch. And I remember I went through a tumultuous emotional time because I'm like, I don't have a graphic designer. I don't have a web developer. I don't have a social media manager. So now I had to become all those functions myself and figure out how to produce content by myself and do all these things. But what has been amazing with that, as I said to you before, that was another crucifixion to the higher level of self. The person I was and who I am now, solid. Because now I know that power is not an outside job. We live in this super sexualized, media-enhanced world where we are constantly being told we're not good enough. We are constantly being told that success, you take shortcuts, right? When you turn on Instagram right now, I'm sure you're going to see someone living an amazing lifestyle. And you start getting anxiety, feeling like you're not achieving anything because you are not that person, or you're not progressing, or you don't have that beautiful Instagram ready model by your arm. I fell into that lifestyle and I got to see how unsustainable it is. If your life is going to be based on chasing titles, you'll chase them forever because titles are appointed, not anointed. And so I had to go through those lessons in order to learn about money. And now I know that even if I get paid 100,000 by a client, I'm not like I'm rich. I'm thinking, how do I invest? What's going to happen tomorrow? How do I, build something out of it? How do I use this money to make me more money? I wasn't taught that before. It didn't push me to that space, and even now with my work now is no longer about celebrities or not. It's about, can I give a voice to someone who's never had a voice before? Can I use fashion to teach people about themselves? Can I use fashion for people to understand who they are? We need to learn how to celebrate each other. And fashion has this way of, you're not stylish, you're not on trend. Our lives are bigger than a trend. We are human beings who have stories, and fashion is an art for you to express that story. I could either use what has happened to me to feel sorry for myself, or I could actually use it to help other people like yourselves to not go through the stuff. No one deserves to go through that. So a story that I was so ashamed of telling, a story that I felt so sad about, is now literally the platform that God has used for me to do this. And instead of fulfilling what the world wants from me, I'm fulfilling what my spirit wants from me, and the world reacts to that. And what's been beautiful about being in this space in my life is that now I've gotten so much more gigs than I ever have in my whole career. I mean, if I look back at my life, I was famous, I was a hot brand, but when I look at the work rate I have now, or the brands that are approaching me, I'm getting bigger projects. Guys, I feel like I don't work. Like, I'm so happy. I wake up every morning at 5, I meditate, I take my dogs for a walk, you know, and then I get to step out and do things like this, where we're told that we need to work 9 to 5s. We're told that we need to suffer to be successful. We need to suffer to be happy. Happiness is a choice. You can decide to be happy right now. You can decide what your life is. Life is not this menu that you must subscribe to. You build your own menu. Now imagine losing a competition like this, where you've been here for months. Some of you have left families back home. Some of you don't have a plan after this. You're thinking, you're invested in this, right? As you should be. But what happens next? How do you move on from that? But I believe that every single one of you should be so proud that you're here. You know, you come from families that have prayed for you. You've come from families that have been through struggles. And no title, nothing can ever stand in the way of that. All of you here are brands, whether you like it or not. You're a brand, you're a brand, you're a brand. And basically, Capitec, by wanting to work with you, they're working with a brand that they feel is aligned to what they're looking for. It's not about Capitec swallowing you and you become a yes man, right? It's about you becoming your own person, your own brand, and they want to work with that. They want you as a platform. But those qualities don't just end there, because even some of you that will work at Capitec, there's life after Capitec, right? Even some of you that are not going to work at Capitec, there's life that continues. So I want to use all the powers that I have today to empower you guys beyond this competition, beyond this. I want to empower you guys to be successful human beings, right? Not everyone can be rich, not everyone can be famous, but everyone can be a successful human being. Your lives are beautiful, your voices are needed, and you're going to be incredible. Thank you.
Thank you. That was so powerful.